Hi, welcome to Marketing with Matt, and I am Matt. Today's topic is self taught marketing pluses and pitfalls. Self taught marketing is something I've run into a lot over the years, which is friends, family, acquaintances who decide to do their own small business marketing simply because they think they can either save money or do it better. And as we'll see, according to my opinion, there are some pros and cons of doing marketing that way, of self teaching yourself and then trying to do it all yourself. And so I just kind of want to briefly go through those pros and cons with you so you can make a better educated choice for yourself. So we'll in creating the air of positivity here, we'll go through the pros first. And I mean, the biggest pro of doing the marketing yourself as a small business is a low cost. Essentially, your own labor, your own time is really all you need to spend on it, other than if you're buying certain things such as like a business grade website off WordPress or something to that effect, business cards, whatnot. You really have your own expenses, but labor, which is where a lot of marketing cost is tied up, is really just kept in yourself. So it kind of in a way is free if you see your time as free. The other thing is you get full control. So this is something that I run into a lot with small business owners is they want to consult with myself or someone else about marketing. But then when they realize that we're making suggestions that do not perfectly align with their own thoughts, they start to kind of get their backs up against the wall. They kind of go, well, hey, this is my business and that's not my idea. The reality is that if we're worth our salt at all, we're professionals. We're here to help you. Yes, we may have different opinions than what you have about your marketing, but certainly we're trying to bat in your corner. So please don't, personally, if you're discussing with a competent marketing individual, don't assume that they're out there to get you or to wrest control of your business out of you or anything like that. But unfortunately, business owners with very strong, kind of dominant alpha personalities, they just tend to get their backs up against a wall when the marketer comes in and starts making suggestions, like I said, that don't perfectly align with their thoughts. Also, self-taught marketing can be efficient because you are the decision maker. So you can basically decide, I want a website on this day, I want to post tweets or social media on this day and this type. I mean, obviously, 100% of control is within you. So you don't need to check that with anybody. You don't need to wait for somebody to program something or do some sort of art or anything like that. You can just do it yourself. So there's a measure of efficiency in doing your own marketing. And lastly, it's empowering, to be quite honest. If you do your own marketing, you teach yourself the stuff and you start to see some positive effects, you're going to kind of give yourself a pat on the back and say, hey, I did a lot of hard work to get here. And I don't want to minimize that. I think that's a great part for a small business owner who decides to do their own marketing and actually is successful. I think you kind of deserve to give yourself a pat on the back, to be quite honest. But those four traits are what I consider the pros of self-teaching yourself marketing, spending your time doing it yourself. Some of the cons, the biggest con is biases. So when you're a small business owner doing your own marketing, there may be biases that others, third parties, can see in your business. So you don't perhaps notice a flaw in your business model or what you're doing. But because it's still you and you're running your own marketing, you're obviously just going to be blind to those potential issues. So that's something to be aware of. There's also gaps in skill. Like, look, marketing involves skill, and we go to school for this stuff, and we practice this stuff, and do co-op courses and work, jobs that don't pay a lot to apprentice to learn how to do this marketing. There's a lot that goes into it than people think. It's not as simple as just writing 500 words as a blog and you go. No, you have to work with keywords. You have to keep search engine optimization in mind. You have to keep target market in mind. I mean, there's all sorts of things that we're trained to do. So these gaps in skill can become quite apparent if you're trying to do everything yourself. and you just quite frankly aren't as skilled as the marketer that you could hire. The final thing is, and it kind of links with that, is that it could come off as unprofessional if you do your own marketing. If an example is perhaps a logo, which the logo is, just low resolution or something like that, printed on a business card or on your website, it really sticks out. And same thing, if your website is kind of a cheap website that's, www.buymystuff.wordpress.biz.free.co or something like that. I mean, honestly, it just doesn't look great. And so, that's something to keep in mind as well as the minimum level of professionalism. So, I mean, takeaway point, when should you consider doing your own marketing? Well, I think honestly, part of it has to do with confidence and thinking that you're a natural marketer. I think if you're an ideas person, I think if you're someone that can trust to rely on others or hire others in areas where you're especially deficient in those skills, I think you can get away with doing most of it. But certainly, I would try to hire a marketer, perhaps someone who doesn't have a ton of experience, but they're fully trained. I would perhaps go that route to try to find some assistance, or simply find a marketer that's willing to train you. I mean, we're in the midst of COVID right now, but perhaps you can find somebody that's willing to train you over Zoom or video chat or something like that for not too much money, and they can kind of give you some tips and tricks to kind of alleviate that skill gap. So perhaps you'll still suffer your own biases or whatnot, but you'll come off as a little bit more professional and a little bit more skilled. So that's my opinion on the topic of self-taught marketing. Feel free, if you're reading this, to comment if you agree or feel differently. If you've enjoyed the content that I brought to the table, just like and subscribe, and I will talk to you again soon.